Welcome everyone. In today's tutorial, we will be talking about how to perform the CPM analysis today. Okay, so CPM stands for Connectome-based Predictive Modeling. So in today's tutorial, we will first go over some background information of CPM and related research. And then I will show you where to download the code and how to run the code to perform the CPM analysis. Okay, first the background. So in 2015, we published this paper on fMRI fingerprinting. The take-home message from that paper is that functional connectomes calculated from both fMRI have this robust and reliable patterns which can be used to distinguish individuals. These unique informations contained in the connectome are also preserved under different conditions of task and rest. What is more interesting is that we can use these individualized information contained in the connectome to build a model and that can predict the human behavior. So that is, this predictive model is the connectome-based predictive modeling. I'm sure many of you here are aware of the difference between correlation and prediction. In the past, many of the fMRI studies are correlation-based. The main issue with correlational studies is that the model tends to overfit the data. So consequently, it doesn't generalize very well to new data. And predictive approaches is designed precisely to address this question. In recent years, we see the community, the neuroimaging community, has moved towards to adopt more predictive approaches. With the predictive approaches, we need also to be careful because there are potential pitfalls in terms of data leakage, which could inflate your model performance. But that's a totally different topic, and we will not be talking about it here today. Okay. First of all, let me tell you the two places which you can get the code we used for this tutorial. The first one is the Nitrix website for Bioimage Suite. If you Google search Nitrix Bioimage Suite, it will bring you to the main webpage for the Bioimage Suite software. And if you click download, you will see a list of resources that you can download from the website. And if you scroll down, you will find this package called CPM OHBM that is uploaded a couple of days ago, specifically for this tutorial. And the other one is the Yale MRIC GitHub. So under the Yale MRC GitHub, there is a repository called the CPM OHBM, and all the code should be available there. The code is written in MATLAB, and once you download the code, you should be able to run it in any MATLAB installations of 2018 and newer. Okay, now let's just go step by step through the CPM approach. So first of all, the input of CPM, including two parts. One is the connectivity matrix, and the other is the behavior measure you want to predict. Cross-validation is implemented in CPM. So the idea is that we split the data set we have into the training set and the testing set. The model will be built using all the samples in the training set, and then the testing set is used to validate the model. You can either use leave one out cross-validation or k-fold cross-validation, depend on your data size and the computing resources. So here, we will explain all the steps in a leave one out cross-validation scheme, but all of these can be extended naturally to k-fold cross-validation. So in a leave one out cross-validation, the training set will include k-1 subject, and we leave one subject out for the test. Within the training set, we want to first find the features from the connectome that are relevant to the behavior measure we want to predict. The way we do it is we correlate each edge in the connectivity matrix with the behavior measure. So you can imagine like some of the edges will be positively correlated with the behavior, and some of the edges will be negatively correlated behavior. So in the end, we will obtain a matrix of correlation values, and each edge will be associated with a correlation value R and a significance value P. We then selected the edges by applying a p-value threshold to the matrix. All the edges that survive the p-value threshold will be selected, and we will obtain a network of edges that are significantly correlated with the behavioral measure. So this is the feature selection step. And next, with all the selected edges, we want to build a linear regression model that relates the edge strength to the behavior that we want to predict. To do that, we first want to aggregate all the selected edges by taking the sum of the edge strengths from all the selected edges. So each subject will be associated with one scalar value of the brain score, which is the sum of all the selected edges. And we use this sum as the X as the independent variable in the linear regression. And then we'll just solve the linear regression using all the samples in our training set. So at this point here, we have already fit the model to our training set. The model hasn't seen any information from the test set yet. And the next step is to apply the model we have just obtained to the left out subject. To do that, similarly, we need to use the mask of the selected edges. So we calculate the sum of the selected edges for the left out subject, and then apply the regression model parameters to get an estimate or a prediction of the behavior for this particular subject. So to complete the leave one out cross-validation, we need to obtain a predicted value for every individuals in the whole data set. So what we do is we repeat the training and the testing process so that each subject is left out once as the test subject. So once the leave one cross-validation is finished, we wanted to evaluate the performance of the model. Here in the CPM protocol, we evaluate the performance by correlating the predicted value with the observed value. So that's the correlation we will be used as the performance statistic. Usually, there are other criteria, such as the variance explained, which is the R-squared, and also the mean squared error. But we use the correlation as it is easy for interpretation. To obtain the R value is not enough for the evaluation. We usually want to assign a significance value to the R value we obtained to indicate whether the model we obtained the performance of our model is significant or not. To assign a p-value, we need to derive the null distribution, and to generate a null distribution, we here we will run a permutation test to generate the null distribution. The permutation test is done by randomly shuffling the labels so that we break the pairing between the brain and the behavioral score. And after shuffling, we run the CPM prediction, and then we obtain a R score. And we do this, say 1,000 times, and then we can obtain the null distribution. And the p-value will be calculated as the proportion of cases that exceeding the R value from the true model. So now I will stop sharing the slides, but we can go to look at the code itself. So if you can download the code from the resources I mentioned before, we'll first look at the MATLAB script called code share behavioral prediction. This is a piece of script that implements the leave one out cross-validation version of CPM. So the first thing is to specify your input. Here, the first input is the connectivity matrices. In this example, I have the connectivity matrix from one of our projects. So we can trying to run it up to the setting up the input. So you can see we have
Sorry, Xilin, I don't think we can see your screen at the moment.
excuse me.
We can't see your screen at the moment.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. I think screen sharing.
Got it. We can see now. Thank you.
Okay. So I just opened a code called code share behavioral prediction, and this is the piece of code which implements the leave one out cross validation. And so in MATLAB, I put a breakpoint on line 43, and we will first look at the inputs here. So the first input is called all maths, which is contains the connectivity matrices from all subjects. And you can see the size of the all maths matrices is 268 by 268 by 100. 268 by 268 is the size of the individual connectivity matrix, and 100 indicates there are 100 subjects in this data set. And the next one is the all behave, which is the behavioral score. That we want to predict here. Additionally, like we have a variable called age. So in some of the studies, people are interested in building a predictive model, but taking into account of a covariate. So here we included age as a covariate, and the size is the same as the behavioral score you want to predict it. Here is 100 by 1. So after you set up your inputs, there are a few parameters you need to choose in this code. The first one is the threshold you use for feature selection. Remember, like in the feature selection, we correlated each edge to edge strength to the behavioral measure. And we selected the edges that are significantly correlated. So the p-value we use here is for that p-value thresholding.
Excuse me, Xilin, could I just clarify the link? There's been a little bit of confusion in the chat.
Okay.
Do you mind posting the link to the GitHub again, just so everyone is able to access it?
There might be some, I saw that GitHub is still labeled as private, so that might be the reason why people will be able to access it. I will talk to our admin person to change it to public after this tutorial.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but they should be able to access the one, the download link from the Nitric website if they have like a Nitric account, and it's a free account.
Perfect. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the threshold here for the selecting edges, you can choose anywhere, any value like 0.05 or 0.01 or anything in between or even smaller. Like based on our experience, the CPM code is not that sensitive to the selection of threshold. So basically, we want to select enough number of edges Like we don't want to select only like a few edges. We want to select maybe a couple hundred edges and to be included in the model. So, and we can let the code continue to run and to this other parameter here, which is the also related to how we selected the features. So there are 4 options here. These are related to what kind of correlation you want to use for selecting the edges. So the first one is Pearson correlation, which is the mostly commonly used option for selecting the edges. And then we can use the rank correlation, which is Spearman correlation, and then or use the robust regression option. So in the robust regression option, we can see later that each a robust regression model is fitted to each edge, and then we obtain a p-value and r value for this particular edge. And the last option here is the partial correlation option. So with a covariate or with a number of covariate, we can calculate the partial correlation between the edge and the behavioral score that with without so everything is like orthogonal to the covariate, and the correlation is calculated orthogonal with respect to the covariate. And here we can continue running this this code by setting this feature selection option equal to 4. So and let me scroll down the code. So after a few setup steps, the leave one out cross validation starts from line 67. So you will see that we split the data into training and testing, and we leave one subject out for the validation. So now the code goes to line 80, which is where we select how we want to correlate, compute the correlation and select the edges. So with the partial correlation, we obtained a matrix of R values and a matrix of P values. And then on line 118, we apply the threshold to select the edges that are correlated with the behavioral score. And here you can see we separated the edges that are positively correlated with the behavior and the negatively correlated behavior. The reason is that in the next step, we are going to sum up all the edges. And if we sum up both the positive and negative edges, the effect will be canceling out each other. So it is crucial that we separate the positive and the negative edges. So once we obtain the network of edges, we start to build the regression model. And the first step in the regression model building is that we want to aggregate all these edges by taking the sum of all the selected edges. So because we have separate set of positive and negative edges, we build the regression model separately for positive only edges, negative only edges, and also the combination of positive and negative edges. And so the function regressing MATLAB solve the linear equation and outputs the coefficient of the model. So at this point, the model has been built. So I want to point out here that for the CPM model, it essentially contains two parts. The first part is the location of the edges, which is also we will call it the edge mask. It's a binary mask for both the positive and negative edges. And the next part of the CPM model is the regression coefficient. And for the left out subjects, we in a similar way we calculate the sum of all the positive edges and the sum of all the negative edges, and then we apply the model parameters to obtain the predicted behavior scores. So in this way, we finished the one round of the leave one out, and I will I will remove all the breakpoints and then let the code run to show the final results. So in the command window, we'll see that the information saying, okay, like in this round, like we are leaving this subject out. And with 100 subject of the whole data set, the computation is very fast, as you can see. So the output, including figures and the numbers here. So we will obtain the correlation of the predicted and observed for the three models we built using the positive edges only, using the negative edges only, and using the combination of positive and negative edges. And the scatter plot is also, you can also see the scattered plot, which shows how correlated between the predicted and the observed values. So that's the leave one out example for the CPM. We so as I said, like it's not enough to just obtain the R values for the model. We want to also understand if the model is the performance of the model, if it's significant or not, by running the permutation test. So here we will look at the second code, which does the permutation test, and it's called permutation test example here. So the setup is very similar to the script we've just looked at for the leave one out prediction. And what you need is the connectivity matrix, the behavioral score you want to predict, and you want to specify the threshold and also which correlation you want to use for feature selection. So one thing to notice is that like in the previous script, the leave one out code is written line by line, like inside the code. But here we package the CPM, the leave one out CPM code into a function, into a MATLAB function called predictive behavior. And all the this function will take 5 inputs argument, which are the connectivity matrix and the behavioral score, the threshold you want to use, and the feature selection option, and also a covariate if you have a covariate to use for the CPM model. So when so in line 64, it actually does exactly what we did using the previous script, and the permutation test is starting from line 49. So first, we want to specify how many permutation iteration we want to perform for the test. And here we set it to be 1,000. And then the true code, the permutation code starts from line 57. Here, you can see we randomly, on line 59, we randomly shifted the labels of the subject. So the new underscore behave is a shuffled version of the original behavioral score. And then we feed this shuffled version of the behavioral score to the prediction function, and then we obtain the prediction values. And we repeat this like 1,000 times in order to generate a null distribution for the R value. So it would take a long time to run it 1,000 times. So we'll just do an example here where we run it 10 times. Yeah, so when it's running, you will, there are some outputs, but each one indicate like which iteration the code is currently at. So one thing I want to mention is that when you are using the other options, like for feature selection, like the robust fit or the rank correlation, they usually take longer time than the partial correlation or just the Pearson correlation. It's up to you, like what correlation options like you choose to use. If one option works and the other option would also work, and not very often, like there's only one option would work for the CPM prediction model. Okay, hopefully it will finish the last iteration of permutation soon. All right, so here in the prediction R, in the variable of prediction R, it saved all the R values obtained from the permutation. So we can look at it here. So it's a matrix of 3 columns, and each column represents the model with only the positive edges, the negative edges, and the combination of edges. And the first row here is the performance of our true model, and then all the rows from the second row to the 10th row are the performance from the random shuffling of the behavioral score. And the p-value is calculated looking at the number of cases that exceeds or equal to the true performance value. And you can see here, there's actually the true model actually performed the best. So if you look at the p-value of the positive model, it's 0.01 because we only did 10 iterations, and if we do more iterations, and that's the best p-value we can achieve with 10 permutation rounds. And if you want to get higher precision, like you need to go to 100 or 1,000 iterations to get the more precise p-value from the null distribution. And that's the same for the negative edge-only model, and that's the same for the combined edge model. All right. The next piece of code I want to show you is the code that does the k-fold cross-validation. So as I said, like all these steps extended naturally to k-fold cross-validation, and you set up the input exactly same here, but there are 2 more parameters you need to specify. One is the number of folds. So the number of folds can go anywhere between 2 folds, which means that you split your data half, and then to k, so which matches your number of subjects. So when number of folds equal to k, you are literally running the leave one out cross-validation. And usually, like with we would suggest using a k-fold cross-validation if you have like a good number of subjects. Say if you have 50 to 100 subjects, we would recommend that you use like a 5-fold or a 10-fold cross-validation. Using 10-fold cross-validation will give you more training samples than if you use a 5-fold cross-validation in each iteration. And then there's also this variable number of iteration that you need to specify. So for k-fold cross-validation, the binning of training and the testing are randomly assigned. So so there's a random effect in the k-fold cross-validation, and we wanted to see how on average, like how the k-fold, if we want to see on average how the k-fold cross-validation works, we wanted to run the k-fold cross-validation a couple of times, and so that we know the spread of the performance. I don't know if we have time to run this. Usually, yeah, we can maybe just one, 2 iterations with the correlation option equal to Pearson correlation. And hopefully this can run fast. Oh, okay. So yeah. So when we set the iteration to 2, the output from the k-fold cross-validation, so I want to point out that for the the output from the k cross-validation, not only we output the R values from the model, but we also output the edge masks. So the edges selected for the model. And we can look at the size of these. So there are 2 values. So here, these are the 2 values we obtained from the k-fold cross-validation, and also we obtained 2 sets of positive masks and 2 sets of negative masks. And these masks are of the size of 268 by 268, which matches your input connectivity matrix. So in many of these analyses, we're not only interested in the R value that is the performance of our model, but we also want to look at the features that we selected from the connectome and to see where they are located in the brain. So this brings us to our next step, which I will share again with the, go back to the slides. So in the next step, when we obtain our results, we wanted to visualize the edges. And we have this tool called Bioimage Suite Web, which is a web tool that we can look at the connections in various ways. So the first one is the circle plot, and we can see 2 half circles representing the 2 hemispheres, and that there are little dots along the circles which represent the region of interest which you used to calculate your connectivity matrix. And is the 3D representation of the ROIs and the connections. And then lastly, we summarize. This is a summary of all the edges by grouping the nodes and edges into 10 different resting state networks. So if you Google Bioimage Suite Web, it will bring you so I will show you how to look at this using Bioimage Suite Web. So here is the website and the web and how the website is look like. If you and ended up in here, like what you want to do is to go to applications and choose connectivity viewer. So it will load the 268 atlas first. So I have saved some of the output here. So you'll see we'll look at the positive mask first, and we load them. When we load the mask, it shows the nodes that have the most connections to the other nodes in the brain. But we can change the mode from single node to all. So we will see all the connections included in our model. And this threshold, this degree threshold is basically used to make to select the edges that are from nodes with the highest with the highest degree. So if you set the threshold to be 0, then this plot is very crowded because it included hundreds of edges in the positive mask. And then if you set it the threshold to be higher, you see like a more sparser and a cleaner pattern of connection. And so, and we also have this tool here, which called a summary matrix, which tells you where the edges belong to. So you can see here we have quite a number of edges that are connecting to the medial frontal network, and also quite a number of edges connecting to the salience network. This is a tool you can play with once you obtain the results from the CPM, if you get a significant model. All right. So again, we go back to our slides. Oh, here, I just listed a few applications for the CPM approach. So the CPM approach is usually successful, like it's for cognitive measures. Like if we want to use the brain connectome to predictive cognitive measures, you can see here we've been successful in predicting fluid intelligence, to predict attention and the long-term memory. But we have also seen some success in predicting the substance use, and also mental disorders like the autism symptom prediction. And there are many other areas of application for CPM. The advantage of CPM is that the whole model is pretty straightforward. So it uses a linear regression. So it doesn't involve any more complicated machine learning algorithms, and the feature available, and then you can visualize them and interpret them more straightforwardly, in a more straightforward fashion. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. And if you have any questions, and I'm happy to discuss and answer.